And we're recording. Jimmy, thank you for being on with me, dude.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Appreciate being here.
Absolutely, I'm glad you hit me up. So
I think I've only ever called you Tyndall.
that is funny. We met
Don't
so
know why.
long ago. My name wasn't really widespread Tyndall, and most people still call me Justin. Yeah, either way. Um, so I want to talk to you because I've known what you do for a long time. I've never really had a chance to like hang out with you and talk with you more in depth about what you do. So tell everyone what you do and your business.
Well, I own Shamrock Knives in DeBerry, Florida, and we make custom handmade knives. We make mainly kitchen knives, but anything somebody wants. If somebody wants a sword, I'll make them a sword.
Have you done many swords?
Only one. I've done a 12-inch Scottish dirk.
That's pretty cool.
12-inch blade total overall, about 18 inches.
That sounds awesome. So let's go back to the beginning. So like, what got you into? I mean, like, is blacksmith the right word for what you do, or?
Bladesmithing, because
Okay,
blacksmiths make tools and all kinds of stuff. I've never really tried. I've made some. I make bottle openers. It's about the extent of my outside of knives.
okay.
Um, so
So what got you into that? How'd you get exposed to it and get interested?
I've always liked knives. Always had them, collected them. I mean, since I was a kid, I've got all kinds of different swords and knives. And then one day, a guy I've known for a few years, I had no idea he had a forge and made knives. And we were just bullshitting. He pulls out a knife that he made, and it's like, well, shit, teach me the way. Show
That's
me the
awesome.
way.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, then I literally just never stopped showing up. I just kept coming to the shop, and then he gave me a key. So
That's really cool.
yeah,
So like, how long did it take for you to start being able to actually make something that you would say is like a competent knife, I guess, or like a usable knife? Because it seems like
um,
I see like pulling out molten metal and hammering on stuff, and it seems like it's like I mean I've tried molding clay, and like it always come out in like shitty little ashtrays, they're all deformed and terrible looking.
um, I didn't sell a knife for a little over a year, about a year, and I spent every free moment pretty much just working on knives. Um, Gave a bunch away. You know, I didn't feel like selling them would be right that early. So, just give them away. Practice.
How long you been doing this now? Would you say since you
Uh,
first started getting involved and then up to now?
just over 2 years.
Really?
Hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
so you
love it.
first started blacksmithing 2 years ago?
Yeah,
No way. So you made dude, the stuff I see you put out there all the time looks like amazing. Like you've been doing this
thank
entire
you.
life.
I appreciate that. And yeah, there's some things that I've done that I didn't think I could do. And um, I went and trained with the world's oldest master bladesmith, and I told him what I made, and he made me explain the entire process to him, start to finish, just so he believed that I did it. He didn't believe that I could do something like that
No
this
way.
early on. So
What?
it's just a
Well,
lot. It's not like it was hard physically. It was just a lot of research, just the research and being prepared. It takes a lot of preparation if you want to do like pattern welded steels, Damascus, San Mai.
that's nuts. So what did you make that impressed a master bladesmith, and where do you even find a master bladesmith?
So there's the American Bladesmith Society, and that's where you would find master bladesmiths. And it's called the American Bladesmith Society, but they're all over the world. Um, and he invented mosaic Damascus, and he luckily only lives an hour north of here in Crescent City.
Oh
So I
wow,
was able to go and start hanging out with him and take some classes, and have the guy who created mosaic Damascus teach me how to make it.
that's
And I'm still
awesome.
going up there to train with him. I'll spend as much time as I can learning from that guy.
Oh, I'm sure. So I want to get the mosaic Damascus in a minute because I didn't really know what it was. You explained it the other day, but I want you to do it again if you don't mind. But so what was it you
Yeah.
made that impressed him?
So I made a stainless sanmai. So sanmai is when you take two. Sorry, I talk with my hands.
Oh, you're
So
fine.
you take
We got video now, so it's great. If you're on the
sanmai
podcast, find on
is
YouTube.
it's 3 pieces of steel, so it's 2 of the same steel and a different steel in the middle, and you smush them all together, for lack of a better term. But stainless steels and high carbon steels don't like to weld together. They don't like to play nice. So you have to be extremely accurate in your preparation, and you can get stainless and high carbon to weld together. And I was able to get an 18-inch bar of it weld together.
Wow.
And make a knife out of it.
So you mean like preparation? You mean like getting the right chemical composition of the different materials so they'll bond together? How much chemistry and how much is just hammering carefully?
So oxygen is your enemy when it comes to getting metals to weld to themselves. Oxygen equals it'll build up carbons, and you don't want that inside when it's trying to weld. It needs to be a completely oxygen-free environment. And also you need to have any dirt, dust, just crap off of the metal. So I'll grind all sides of the pieces of metal, wipe them down with acetone, make sure they're completely clean. Then I take them, stack them all together, clamp them, and I'll run weld. I'll get my welder out and run a bead along the entire seam to make it completely sealed, so no oxygen can get in there.
Wow.
And once you put it in the forge is like 1900, 2000, 2100 degrees. So any oxygen that isn't there at first is immediately burnt away, and then it's a completely oxygen-free environment.
Wow. Okay. So it's just a lot of careful work and preparation, and then like the steps. These are a lot of steps in between too. As far as I see people always, you put the metal in the forge, it gets heated up, or certain metals. I mean, I'm sure certain metals you have to reheat more and manipulate more, and some are easier to manipulate, and some are different like that.
Yes, different metals all react differently. Some have to be forged at an extremely high temperature. Some you can forge a little bit colder. Like 52-100 steel is what most ball bearings are made out of, and that's a really, really great steel to make knives out of. Holds a great edge, but you have to forge it extremely hot, or else it'll start developing stress cracks. It's just part of the steel that you hit it and it'll crack. Okay. It doesn't like to be moved too well.
Not real pliable.
No.
I guess.
So, but then there's some steels that you can hit them while they're cold and they're fine. It's all the composition of the steel.
Interesting. Okay. So let's go back to the Damascus thing real quick before I forget about it, because I will. So when I've heard about Damascus steel, I've always heard it was like this almost like mythical property steel that came out of, Damascus, and like the recipe for it's been lost to the ages. So how much of that is fact versus fiction?
So yeah, pretty much everybody making Damascus, including myself, is not making actual Damascus. We're making pattern welded steel because we can determine what we're making because of just today's technology in making steel. Back then, actual Damascus, stuff you would call like Wootz Damascus, was they had iron ore, steel, meteorite, whatever they could find, they would smelt together and hammer out into a bar of steel. So just putting all that stuff together would cause it to have different patterns because it was just mishmash of stuff. Now we know today exactly what we're putting in there, and we can put pictures inside blades. Whereas back then it was Damascus because of all the shit that they put in it.
So Damascus these days.
There's people today that can make Wootz Damascus. They can take iron ore, green glass, sand, and smelt it together and actually make their own steel. There's a few in the United States, not many, but it does happen.
That's really cool. So most people these days, you're talking about Damascus steel, it's just steel patterns within other steel objects, basically.
Yeah, so we call it Damascus, like I said. It's just pattern welded steel. So I'm taking 15N20, which is a high nickel count steel. It just has higher nickel in the steel. And I generally use 1084 steel, which is just a general high carbon. and you smash them together in a bunch of layers. And when you're done, when you fold it and do whatever you're going to do to it, at the very end, you stick it into some type of acid. I use ferric chloride. Some people use vinegar. I use coffee also. And the higher nickel doesn't, the acid doesn't affect it. So that's what creates the lighter patterns, whereas high carbon turns black. So that gives it the contrast is when you stick it in acid.
Interesting. So I know you said you had some pictures that you're going to show. Do you have any of that? Because some of the patterns you were doing recently seemed really, really, didn't seem, they were really, really dope.
Yeah, so let's see here. I'll freeze here for a minute.
Oh, no, you're good. So if you're just listening on the audio, I would recommend checking out the YouTube channel too. The YouTube channel is just my name, Justin Tyndall, and you'll find a playlist for Tyndall's Razor there. But I think having the visual component here is really cool. A side effect of using Zoom for the pandemic is I got this up a lot sooner than I thought I would.
So this is a piece of Damascus I was just working on.
That's crazy. So how do you get those patterns in there? Is it are you dipping stuff or?
So I started with 30 layers of alternating 1084 and 15N20. And then we flatten that all down into a bar, and then we cut it up into a bunch of pieces, stacked them on top of each other, welded that back out, flattened it all out. We turn the I wish I could. So you can draw on here. So you can see the black lines, these layers.
Right.
And originally those lines were up top. So the way you forge weld it down creates these like W's in there. You know, you can kind of see how it goes W's.
Yeah.
Each one of these was a cut that we made. And you can see see if I can choose a different color here. You can see this line that goes through right in the middle of them. So what we did was we took four slices and stuck another piece of 1084 in between it, and then forged it back together. And we took a squaring die, which is it's literally what it sounds like. It's just a die that makes things into a square, and we stick it in there and forge it down, so it it turns the layers on itself. Somehow I lost the chat. I'm somewhere. Oh, there I am. So, sorry.
No, you're good. I didn't even realize you could draw on those things. This is all.
Yeah, it's something new I just learned.
You learn very quickly. I mean, as we know, 2 years doing this, and you're making stuff like that.
So I also have a YouTube channel, and it's just Shamrock Knives, and I have us making that Damascus on there. So I'm making it with the guy's name is Steve Schwartzer. Like I said, oldest master bladesmith in America. He's
That's awesome. That's so crazy.
I don't know if you could share videos on here. Probably not.
We can screen share. So if you're doing a screen share and you do a video, probably. But either way, I highly, because I've seen you post some of that stuff on YouTube, and I've seen a few things, or on Facebook too. So like, I highly recommend checking out the Shamrock Knives YouTube channel.
So in the very end, this is what we made.
That is beautiful.
So you can see all the different layers. It's about 500 layers.
Oh my God.
And then what we did was we took that centerpiece, we took it and made 4 other small squares, right there. And then we put it all into a canister, a mild steel canister. We welded these 4 squares down and then put the middle one in there. And then all this stuff here is powdered, fine powdered steel. So we heated that up to basically use a liquid, and you press it against itself till it becomes a solid weld. And that's what it creates. And then from that, so mosaic is mosaics are tiles. So I can't just forge that out into a knife. You have to cut it into tiny little tiles and then stack it upon itself and weld it. So here's what we ended up welding them. You can see the
Oh,
line there.
wow.
So I'm
Okay.
making a blade out of this now. So that's each tile.
Wow. So the high cost of Damascus lately, it's not so much the material, it's just the labor involved.
Yeah, because just to get to that point, like I mean, I've just started making the knife, but to get to that point took me 20 hours.
Wow. How much
Yeah,
time do you
somewhere
think it would
between
take to
18 and 20
complete?
hours it took me in Schwarzer.
So what's the estimate for how long you think it'll take you to complete the actual knife? Like done,
I
ready to
want to
ship?
have this. I want to have this knife at Blade Show with me, and Blade Show is in August, so I want to take my time and get it done by Blade Show.
Okay.
Trying to see if I know I have another had a picture. Okay, so here's the start of the knife. So I'm making it an Arkansas Bowie.
God, that is
So
gorgeous.
thank you. So yeah, it's got you can see like there's just a lot of things I still got to take care of. This big wave right there. It still not This is just a test etch. I mean, it's a giant piece of that something I got to grind out up there.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I want to be able to bring this to Blade Show with me and
That's really
to show
cool.
off and then sell if possible.
Right. That's awesome. Is that at the convention center?
It'll be up in Atlanta, Georgia, at the
Mm,
Cobb Galleria. It's in just outside Atlanta in Cumberland.
very cool. Is that an annual event?
Yeah, it's a huge event. People from all over the world come. A lot of makers, collectors, all the big name companies. Like Gerber Knives, Buck Knives. One here from Orlando, Randall Knives will come. A lot of Florida guys.
So,
All the guys you see on YouTube, Alex Steele. So it's
wait.
pretty cool.
There's a bladesmith whose name is Alex Steele. Is that his actual
Yeah,
last name?
he's a 22 or 23-year-old kid that's got like 2 or 3 million followers and makes some amazing stuff.
Wow, that's awesome. Good for him.
And I tell you, this damn COVID, man, I was supposed to go. I had a trip completely planned to go train with him and other makers in Montana in July, and it all got canceled.
Oh
So maybe
no.
next year.
Speaking of, like, have you had much effect from the virus on your business at all?
No, it was the opposite.
Really?
So yeah, it did get affected, but in a better way. I was finally finishing up my log of orders. I had about 4 left, and then the stimulus check came, and everybody wants a knife. So I'm back
Wow.
up there. I got 17 orders I'm working on now.
Holy cow.
So and I'm also putting out a line of kitchen knives. So I'm working on that right now, hoping to have that ready to get ordered in June, and then start a line of kitchen knives.
That's awesome, man. That's really, really cool stuff. Um, what's the most common thing you get orders for? Is there a certain type of material people ask for a
Um,
lot, or a certain
I
style
get a
of
lot of
blade?
chef's knives. A lot of chef's knife people want just a home cook or professional cooks, and skinning knives. Get a lot of hunters, especially down here, or I've had a couple go out to Alaska. Um, yeah, people just hunting and kitchen knives.
So what would, like, I see people talking about chef knives all the time. So what makes a good chef's knife? What kind of material, or a certain blade
Um,
size?
so high carbon steel holds a better edge than a stainless steel does. So a lot of professional chefs, when they order a knife, they'll order high carbon. But the problem with high carbon is it has to be well taken care of, and because it will rust if you
Hmm.
don't take care of it, and it'll patina, meaning it'll change colors and have patterns in it just over time from the acid of the different foods you're cutting.
Okay.
And a lot of home cooks will order stainless steel because they don't want to take care of it. They don't want to oil it, keep it dry, keep it hung up, or not just throw it in a kitchen drawer.
Right. Okay. Now, does that patina? Did I say that right?
Yeah, patina.
Is that just like an aesthetic thing, or does it affect the actual integrity of the blade?
No, it's just an aesthetic thing. It's just what happens with the, like, if you're cutting lemons and acidic stuff all day.
Mm.
It's just going to it's going to leave some markings behind. Not markings, it just changes the color of the outside of the steel.
Okay.
So
Well,
it looks worn.
okay. So kind
And
of like it's stained, but the knife should functionally work plenty fine as
yeah,
day one.
yeah. And then different chef's knives have different edges. There's some are super thin, some are a thicker edge. It depends what they want to cut. So, a home cook is not going to, they're going to have a block of knives with, 7 knives in it. Some cooks will have 7 different chef's knives with different edges, different grinds, different finishes, all for specific purposes.
Wow, that's very.
Yeah.
That's all so much more. And it's so far over my head. Like I can barely even chop like peppers or something. But what's cool seeing like how in depth some of this stuff goes, especially when it comes to like we talk about different blade styles or even the way down to the way you sharpen it. Like that's a super really invested thing. Well, you've been into knives your entire life, you said.
Yeah, I love knives. Just always had them. Collected all kinds of them. Lost a bunch. Broke some.
Is there a particular knife you carry on yourself all the time, or do you carry different ones depending on what you need? Or
I carry a Glock 43. So
that's a pretty good daily carry, I'd say.
Yeah, so it'll stab you from a distance.
More effective than the knife to a gunfight thing.
Honestly, no, I don't. I used to carry. I still have it in the car, like a Ken Onion folding knife that I would carry in my pocket. I've got a couple of knives at the house that I didn't like how they came out, so I kept them. But I've yet to like make myself one to carry around.
Okay. Do you ever make folding knives?
No, too many moving parts for me.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. Don't have much interest in it. I just bought a mill, so I could maybe start making some of the parts. But I'd rather perfect what I'm trying to do than to start learning something with moving parts and shit.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be more complicated.
Yeah, definitely, because everything has to be exact down to the thousandth of an inch. If it's even a 10,000th of an inch off, it's not going to close right, open right, could hurt the person. Wow. So and there's a guy locally here that sells folding knives, amazing folding knives made of titanium Damascus or black titanium Damascus. Insane folding knives.
Who is it? I'd love to plug it.
I want to say it's Lavaro Knives. Jason Overall is his name. He's in Deltona. You can find him on Instagram. I believe it's Lavaro Knives. It's
awesome. Like Lovaro?
Yeah, I think he took his last name and spun it backwards and took a letter out. So it's overall backwards with, I think, a letter missing.
Awesome. Well, hopefully we'll figure it out from there if you're trying to Google stuff. But so speaking of like people who make knives, are there any like particular brands that people carry around a lot that are better than other ones? Like I hear like Benchmade. I have a Benchmade folding knife, and I hear different things about different stuff. Are there some brands that are good, or some brands that are just popular for no reason?
No, I mean it's all preference. Like I carry a Glock. Some people like Beretta. Some like Taurus. Some like Sig. It's just a preference and then a price point. Some knives they're made in much higher production, so they could be a little cheaper. Whereas if you want a custom knife, you can pay a few hundred into the thousands of dollars for a knife.
Yeah, I see them go for like exorbitant prices. Like, so what brings the value of the knife up that much? Is it material? Is it labor? Is it a combination of those things? Is it brand?
Yeah, brand of course is always something. You're bigger your name, you can make your prices higher. You're paying for the craftsmanship and the labor. I've had a lot of people have asked me, "Oh, can you make me a kitchen set?" And then I'll give them a price. And you want a full kitchen set? It'll be, it's not going to be a $300 set you can get at Walmart. It's most likely going to be in a couple thousand. Because if you want me to forge 12 knives, that is hours upon hours of work for me to forge them out of raw steel, grind them, heat treat them, finish them, put handles on them. So you're talking hours and hours, weeks and into months of work. So,
Right.
I'm going to charge you what I feel is fair for my time for that many hours.
Of course, for sure. So the reason the other ones, like the ones you can buy at Walmart, Target, whatever, are cheaper is because they can mass produce them. It's not
Yeah, they
all
can
being
mass
handmade,
produce.
everyone.
Yeah, and that's like I said, I'm trying to come out with a set of affordable kitchen knives. Um, I would say I'm hoping to stay in the range of like Henkel's or Wusthof. So no, it still won't be a Califon set you can get at Walmart because I just can't mass produce 400,000 knives.
Right. There's
But
no way to make that cost effective. Yeah. This is too much.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not, and there's still going to be custom kitchen knives because I'll have them water jetted out from my steel supplier, but then I'm going to still do all the grinding, heat treating, putting handles on, and all the finishing. So it cuts out a lot of my labor because I don't actually have to forge the knife out.
Gotcha.
So water jetting, some people call it cheating. It's really not cheating. If I want to make an affordable price range for people to buy a kitchen knife, there's no way I can do it if I'm forging.
Right. So with the water jet, they already have the chunk of the material. They just kind of cut out a basic outline or a basic shape of what it is, and you're the one that actually
Yeah.
hammers it to place, grinds it down, and shapes it all up, makes it good, puts the handle on and everything.
Yeah, and here I can show you what they're going to be. I just mailed them today to the steel supplier, and it'll be a chef's knife, a set of steak knives, a boning knife, and a paring knife.
Oh, very cool.
So I mailed these templates off to the supplier. They'll put it into some type of CAD file, and then they'll give me a quote to cut them all out, and then I'll start the pre-orders.
That's awesome.
And
So,
I'll run the pre-order through like July or August, and then get them all shipped and have them all done by like Thanksgiving or Christmas.
that's fantastic, dude. So if you're just listening, the outline you showed me, basically it looked like there's like wooden versions of the knives, and then
Yep.
basically just kind of give the shape of it, and then it would come like so you made that design or like
Yes.
the template, so to speak, for it. And okay, cool. So then you would just basically get a rough version of the shape of it and kind of the raw-ish material that would be, and then you forge it, you shape it up, or you shape it up and make it all pretty and everything.
Yeah, and then so I'll do all the heat treat, all the grinding, so everything for it.
That's awesome. So what would you say, what are typically used for handles for knives, or different knives use different materials for handles? What's involved with that side of things?
You can use all kinds of shit. I typically use either wood or G10. G10 is like a fiberglass and resin that's treated under heat and pressure. And
kind of like what you see on like the kitchen knives now? That kind of what you see on those?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'll use some wood, stabilized wood or dyed burls. Let's see if I know I've got some photos of that. They're, you can get some really, really cool stuff in wood. Pretty much anybody. G10 is limited to just basic colors, or they could do like camouflage, a couple of different colors. But woods, you can pretty much do whatever you want because you can inject dyes, and of course I can't find anything right off the bat. You asked me earlier if I did a sword. Here's that dirk that I did. So I'm facing the wrong way, but
that's really cool though.
We built the box for it and the sheath, and the tartan behind it is the customer. The customer's buying this for a buddy as a surprise, and that's his family's tartan. He's from Scotland.
That's amazing.
The wood on this handle is 4,000-year-old bog oak that I got from the Ukraine, and a Damascus pommel on the bottom. So it's the guy was very specific about what he wanted.
Looks like you delivered. That looks incredible.
Try.
What about the sheath? Where did that come from? This looks like some cool leather work.
There's a local guy that I use that he does all my leather work. He goes by Murray Knives. He makes some knives too, but mainly does a lot of leather work. And he does it for a few of us makers around here.
I love all the connections to local businesses, especially around, I'm from that area. Like I lived in Deltona for a very long time. This is all like north of Orlando for those who or outside of Central Florida.
In the middle
But
of nowhere between Daytona and Orlando.
pretty much, it's it's where the cars break down on the way to spring break. But that's really, really cool. Well, I mean, Deland's been popping with a lot of really cool local business stuff for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
So it's really nice going out there and seeing all of it, walking around the old downtown area and seeing everything.
Yeah, on Friday nights, I set up at Artisan Alley and do sharpening when it is open again.
Really? So explain what that is, because I've kind of heard of it, but I'm not intimate with it.
So in downtown DeLand, there's a street called Artisan Alley. It's really just an alley, but there's a bunch of businesses in there. And you got Persimmon Hollow Brewery. They, on Friday nights, they shut the street down, and they line the alley, the street, and there's a garage with vendors. All small businesses, artisans, food, all kinds of things, woodworkers, leather, pottery, anything you could pretty much think of that a small business or an artisan would make. And I just, I'll bring some knives there, but I don't carry much of an inventory. But I just do sharpening. So people will bring me their kitchen sets. I do some of the restaurants in the area. They'll bring their knives there on Friday nights.
That's a really cool way to A, be involved in the community, but B, I mean, that's phenomenal advertising too. You know, I know you're not looking at it just as advertising, but that's a great way to like really integrate with the community. And those small towns like that, I mean, obviously you've got all kinds of connections.
Yeah, I'm more into just networking and meeting people, and I would rather support small business. So if I meet another maker there, that like there's guys that make cutting boards, and sometimes I'll get people that want a chef's knife and a cutting board. So now I can send them, some business. So, anything I can do to help another small business is awesome to me.
That is awesome. All right. So is there anything else that you wanted to mention while I've got you?
So the one thing I was, when we talked yesterday or the other day, how I can guarantee the quality of my knives. Mm-hmm. So when I say heat treat, I use a kiln like glass makers or pottery people would use, but it fires up to like 2,300 degrees. And I use a digital temperature gauge with settings for time and everything. So every steel, like we were talking about earlier with the 52-100 and stuff, they're all different chemical compositions. So they all have to be heated specifically to a certain amount to guarantee hardness, toughness, durability of the edge. And I do everything. We live in a digital age, so instead of just throwing it in a forge and hoping I know what temperature it's at, pulling it out and sticking it in oil to quench it, I make sure that it's all perfectly controlled to the scientific data of what I get for that steel. So if it calls for an exact temperature for 13 and a half minutes, I know I can do that and then quench it, cool it down, and make it the best knife that I could possibly make.
That's such a cool combination of really old school craftsmanship and technology.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like being able to combine the two.
So like the temperatures at the kiln are absurdly high. How do you what fuels it? Do you use like some kind of natural gas or?
No, it's electric.
Really?
It's got it's got a huge coil burner inside, and I'm sure my electric bill is stupid from it. But,
you're not using like an old school bellows and just cranking that thing every one air on it?
Now the forges are all propane powered, so when we forge, we'll just fire those up with propane.
Do you get just the regular tanks you'd use for a grill, or do you get bigger?
We started off with regular tanks, myself and my partner, which I haven't even mentioned him. He's Black Hog Knives. Chad from Black Hog Knives. Together we make Black Shamrock Forge.
That's awesome. So you work out the same forge and do your own stuff in it? So you work out the same forge and kind of do your own stuff with it?
Yeah, and we'll get creative with each other on some blades, and we'll work together on stuff.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we started out with those little 20-pound tanks, and then we finally have moved up to the 100-pound bigger tanks, so we're not running every single weekend to U-Haul to get propane filled.
That's awesome.
And some fellow chiver, Chris Pfizer, man, shout out to you at AmeriGas. Chris has helped us out tremendously since he works for AmeriGas with a lot of knowledge on propane and helped me out with other gases that we need for like our torches and things. So, Chive, man.
I love it.
Legit.
Absolutely love it. We have an awesome family.
Yes, we do. Like I had
Um,
dog trying to rip a door down.
well, dude, this has been awesome. I'm really glad we got a chance to do this.
Yeah, man, definitely. I appreciate it, Justin, and certainly love hanging out with you. Wish
Yeah,
it was in
man.
person.
Yeah, hopefully soon, man. We'll get together for sure. Sort
Yeah,
of plug all your social media again to make sure everyone can find you and find Shamrock.
yeah, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I got like 10,000 followers on there. I get orders through TikTok now. It's crazy.
That's insane.
Yeah, they're all Shamrock knives. My YouTube is Shamrock Knives, and when I started getting orders through TikTok, I was like, this is nuts. Who watches this crap? And I guess me.
Apparently,
But
quite a few.
people
Got
like
10,000
me,
followers.
yeah.
That's
They
awesome,
like
man.
watching. They like my most popular videos always seem to be when I'm pulling a knife out of acid and it reveals that pattern that we're making.
That's the one
Those
I
seem to be
saw.
the most
Yeah,
popular
I
ones.
saw that one of those recently, and it blew my mind a
Yeah,
little bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
Those and smashing shit. If you're power axe, hydraulic press, and just squishing, a big 20-inch block of steel down to nothing.
Even
They love
just
that shit.
watching like the manipulation of superheated metal or anything that's like that hot.
Yeah,
Like I love watching like glass blowing, anything you're pulling out of a forge and then
yeah. I
fucking
would love
with.
to try that. The glass blowing seems really cool. One day I'll get to try that
If
somewhere.
you ever find a connection that involves with glass blowing and you want to try it out, call me. I at least want to watch.
Yeah, man, we'll go do it. And I said you got to come down to the forge. I want to make a sword for myself for The Witcher.
Dude, for sure. I
Come
played
help
the
me
crap out of that
design it.
game. I played the crap
Oh,
out of
yeah.
the game, and
Or we can
I
make a
love the series.
Deadpool katana or something.
Ooh, now you're speaking my language.
That's it.
We'll make it happen, man, for sure. So, yeah. So again, thanks so much for being here. If, like I said, if you are listening to this on YouTube, then I've got a podcast on pretty much every big platform now: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Play,
Castbox. I listen to it
Castbox
on
now.
Castbox.
Castbox, yeah. So I made sure. So I've got some of them I get listed on other ones. When I listed to Google, it went to Castbox by itself. So some of them I'm not sure if I'm on all of them or not. So either way, if you don't see me on your Tyndall's Razor on your podcast app of choice, hit me up. Twitter, my Twitter handle is at the Tyndall, or Facebook Justin Tyndall, or Facebook Tyndall's Razor. I can always reply real fast there. So thank you all for listening or watching, and I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.
Have a good night.